I really wanted to welcome all of you. We're so happy that you're all here. My name is Marie Delahaye, and I am the president of the board of directors. Let me know if you can hear me in the back. All right, good. Thanks so much for coming to this lunch, and also for all your support of Friendship with Cambodia. We're really happy to all be together and celebrate Friendship with Cambodia, which under Bobby's leadership has accomplished so much in the past 23 years. I want to tell you about how I met Bobby. My husband and I lived in Oakland, California for about 20 years. And once we had 2 children, and because the public schools weren't great, we decided to move out to the burbs, which out in the San Francisco Bay Area meant for us moving out to Walnut Creek, about 20 miles east of Oakland. After some time, when we were living in Walnut Creek, we realized we were dealing with culture shock because the suburbs was so different from living in an urban city like Oakland. So I looked out for some type of event where we might find some like-minded people. And I saw an announcement for a talk by Michael Parenti, which was sponsored by the Mount Diablo Peace Center. So we went to it. Bavia was the executive director at the time, and she introduced Michael. And I was immediately struck by her grace and her kindness. Afterwards, I introduced myself, and as we got to know each other, Bavia engaged one of her superpowers. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. She used her enlist others in my cause superpower. And she invited me to join the board of the Peace Center and to create a program for them. And then some years later, when she was preparing to found Friendship with Cambodia, she asked me to become president of the board. And over these 23 years, I've served as president for a lot of that time. Some of you may not know how Friendship with Cambodia got started, so I'm going to give you a quick summary. Bavia first went about Cambodia in 1991, following her participation in a peace walk in Vietnam. One of the other peace walk participants invited everyone to join her to see Cambodia. Bavia was deeply affected by the devastation of the country. It was 12 years after the genocide ended, but little had been done to rebuild the country. This was because the United States, our favorite country, right, was blocking international humanitarian aid to Cambodia as part of its Cold War policy. However, that changed in 1991 as the Cold War was ending, and it became possible for the West to provide humanitarian aid to Cambodia. Bobby decided to do what she could do to help, and she went back to Southeast Asia the following year in 1992 to lead a tour to Vietnam and to volunteer for an NGO in Cambodia. In 94, she returned again to lead a tour to both Vietnam and Cambodia, and to stay in Cambodia and do interviews for what later became her book. In 2002, Bobby's book, Soul Survivors, Stories of Women and Children in Cambodia, had just been published, and Bobby gave 50 book talks all over the country. At the talk, she collected the names of people interested in helping Cambodia. And after acquiring the long list of people, she decided to start Friendship with Cambodia. The focus of Friendship with Cambodia has been to work with the poorest of the poor and to empower them to help themselves. Before I close, I want to take a few moments to recognize 2 people who have been essential to this organization from the very beginning, my fellow board members, Linda Young and Donna Napier. Donna has been involved with Friendship with Cambodia from the very beginning. She served on our board for 20 years, longer than anyone else, and has been our treasurer for many of those years. Donna has a wonderfully sharp mind. She always has good advice and has a gift for seeing the big picture and planning for our future. She's also been a student sponsor and a donor. Donna and Bobia actually met years earlier when they both worked at Food for Lane County, the local food bank. Donna was a CFO there, and Bobia was a grant writer, and for a time, the substitute soup kitchen cook. Over the years, Donna has volunteered for Friendship with Cambodia in more roles than we can count, and she's done some really heavy lifting. She prepared our 990 tax filings in our early years. She served as our bookkeeper for the last 7 years, managing our payroll. She's also rolled up her sleeves to help set up and clean up at countless events. Donna is extremely caring, and she's been endlessly generous with her time and her skills. Friendship with Cambodia would not be what it is without her. Thank you, Donna. Linda Young has been with us from the very beginning. She served on our very first board of directors and has been on the board for a total of 19 years. Linda has brought so much creativity, wisdom, humor, and artistic talent to this organization. She's an artist, and everything she touches, she bumped up a few notches. The Fair Trade Crafts program Linda ran was a genuine enterprise. Friendship with Cambodia bought crafts from more than 30 NGOs in Cambodia. And in some years, our sales topped $30,000. Remarkable considering most items sold for under $10. Linda managed the inventory, helped with ordering, and traveled to Cambodia several times, always paying her own way. She worked with dozens of volunteers, probably a lot of you here, and staffed our craft sales as cashiers, helped at every event we held, and organized benefits at her own home, including our garden party fundraisers. She too has been a student sponsor and a donor. Linda has been an enormous asset to this organization and just a lot of fun to work with. Thank you, Linda. We really appreciate each of you for helping Friendship with Cambodia provide over $3 million in humanitarian aid over the last 23 years. And we're so glad you're here today to celebrate all that we were able to do together and to celebrate Bobia's retirement. Now I'm going to let Linda come up here and tell a little bit more about the crafts program. Thank you.
Well, I'll just go to the mic. What? Okay, the mic.
Okay. It was around 20, well, I think I read in the statistics that the craft department started around 2004, but I don't remember being asked to help. Maybe 2005. Anyway, somewhere around 04 or 05. I just had been a general volunteer working at different sales and talks that Bobia would give around wherever she was traveling at the time, a lot in Eugene. Anyway, so she did one day look at me as I was sitting at my little desk in the office, whether I would be interested in taking over the Fair Trade Craft program, which really there was none at that time. So anyway, I thought about it, and anyway, I thought I would be good at it. I've been a crafter ever since, forever. Like even first grade, I remember stuff I did. And over the years, I've even marketed some of my craft work. So I thought I would probably be a good fit for the job. So I said yes. And anyway, I just thought it would be a lot of fun. And I thought I could, expand the program and really generate some funds for Friendship with Cambodia and all of our programs. So if you would just bear in mind, I'm going to tell you about the progression of the paper bead, the Cambodian paper bead. I have a little, show and tell. So I am taking the progress of the Cambodian paper bead because it's all kind of like an analogy of the development of Friendship with Cambodia over the years. So I have always been in awe of Bobia. She had, been part of different nonprofits or NGOs that provided services to different humanitarian aid in different countries, soup kitchens in Eugene, and that's how she rolls. And so I wanted to be a part of that, and if that was taking care of the friendship or of the crafts department, I would. So when I kind of was looking back on what I might say today is the paper beads. Those to me were it was like the most amazing craft. I don't know why, I just sort of. So in the beginning, I'll try to pop this off. We would, whoever would go to, Bobby would go to Cambodia. She'd bring back strings of beads, and quite frankly, they were ugly. Very ugly. And I didn't know what to do with them, but we'd always have them on the craft table, and, once in a while, someone would buy them. And I really called them mercy buying, because they were ugly, but, the crafters in Cambodia, they were seriously trying to make income, so we would support them, even buying things that I had no idea how to market. So, I'll put that on. And, we had the blue ones, and we had the kind of orangey yellow ones, and anyway, they just weren't all that salesy. This was a little better in that it had the paper beads, but it also had the little yellow glass seed beads. So there was, a little change happening there. I'll put that on. Okay. Anyway, so this is how I started observing the paper bead. And it was kind of like the start of friendship with Cambodia. It had really, this nonprofit hadn't really been established as a on-the-ground organization yet. So that was, Bobby had a vision and a desire and a drive to get it done. So that's when she started collecting names of people that would be interested in helping. So anyway, so that is the ugly beads situation. I don't know. Anyway, so then the second one was actually the craft colors started changing on another buying expedition up there, and these were, somewhat ugly, but they had a kind of a different shape. They weren't as big. So I started kind of seeing that, they looked more like beads, and perhaps they could, our program could maybe use them, but I wasn't sure yet what to do with them. So in combining or contrasting them with the program is, if you all remember, we started with high school students. That was the first idea of student sponsorship, to get them through we figured get them through the 4 years of high school, and that would actually give the villages, more educated people, and they could, really develop their lives. But I think it was the first class had gone through 4 years of high school, and they went to Bobia and asked, well, will you send us to university? And so that was a big pause, like, oh my God, that's more expensive. It's just a whole different way that Bobby would have to restructure how Cambodia operated. So, of course, in the end, Bobby figures it out how to start sending, the students to university. And so the beads are getting better. Okay, so then during this time of kind of a change and new opportunities, the beads started getting, I don't know, to me they were becoming artwork, little craft artwork. And so this is an example of one of them. I mean, the paper's better. There's like a little gold sheen on it. I started, just playing around with making bracelets, and I have, access to a lot of seed beads, and because there's quite a few beaders in the Eugene area. So, so it kind of caught on. I had tried selling these at some of the craft fairs, and they actually sold better than similar necklaces. Anyway, so I made hundreds of these different, different colors, different beads. I just enjoyed it because I'm a crafter. So I did hundreds of these. They went out in every box we shipped to anyone who wanted to do a craft show. Okay, so then, so then there was a phase of the crafters gone crazy. And these beads started, we're picking these up at the shops. I don't think you can see them, but see how teeny they are? Do you know how hard it is to make a bead this tiny out of paper? Ooh, sorry. Anyway, so I was so excited to see these because I didn't necessarily need to use the glass seed beads. I could just use these little teeny beads and even teenier beads to make some really cool looking bracelets. So that to me is they just went crazy. No one probably told them how to do it, but once you get a feel for being a crafter, you start improvising and trying new things. So that's sort of how our programs at the university level happen. I think Karen would know a lot about that, but field trips were happening. We had, and maybe some of you in this room supported the English language tutoring in addition to the regular university work. They could go learn English better. And what else did we do? Anyway, those are two things I can think of. And then, I guess for the organization appearing today, this I found at maybe the last trip I went. But this is such a beautiful. I'll be standing over near the craft table, but it's just beautiful. The beads and the colors, and they just incorporated small, different size beads. They have the glass seed beads on here, and that to me is sort of the culmination of the progress and the beads. And look at where all of us together as volunteers, donors, how far we've helped Bhavya bring this organization. And I have one more thing to ask of you, and the way we got we go on a buying trip, Bhavya and I. We would, Bhavya had the purse, and together, there was money from the budget to go buy. So we tried to buy for 2 years, and that was a lot of crafts. We got cheap luggage at the market, so we'd fill them. I don't know, sometimes we'd have 15 or 20, I don't know, but we could only each bring in 1 or 2, I forget. But anyway, and so we'd have to leave the other ones behind, and so I'm going to ask if anyone in this room ever brought a craft suitcase back to the U.S. So would you stand up and just sort of stand up? We're going to just... Well, no, keep standing. I'm going to go on a thing here. So, okay, so if you have ever volunteered to help set up, sort, price, or pack up crafts, please, you stand up also. We're going to see how the crafts touch so many people in this room. If you have ever hosted a private craft show, perhaps at home, maybe it was at your church, it could be anyway, so stand up, everybody's standing up, there might be some ways I haven't thought of how people actually impacted the crafts program. You guys can stand up too. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the program of the crafts. It was all volunteer, and it wouldn't have got anywhere. I believe in the notes I read, we over the 20-some years, we brought in like $288,000 in crafts. And it wouldn't have manifested had we not had so many people really touching the crafts, really loving the crafts. I even saw a lot of people over there shopping already. Anyway,
so then they had the parents of the street children make the beads, and it just kept evolving, and then other groups caught on and started making them out of waste paper that was coming, excess waste paper. So anyway, it is a great talk, Linda. Thank you. The beads have quite a history. Well, thank you to my board, and I just want to say I've I've had so many wonderful people on the board of directors through the years, and I just want to invite everybody to stand up who's been on the board. We've got a few of you here. The other thing is Friendship with Cambodia. We've gone through a lot of ups and downs, and some of the downs where we thought we were going to close, I think that might have happened about 4 times, and some of you got caught in the middle of that, like all of a sudden you're told you're supposed to support another organization because we're closing, but then we didn't, so you're like, what? And anyway, so we were downsizing at one stage when we thought we were closing, and we went down to 3 board members. But then we stayed open for another 10 years, and they stuck with us the whole time. And so I want them all to come up here. I just want to thank them with a bouquet of roses. Anna, Linda.
Just take, it's the bouquet, Donna. You get the whole thing.
Oh, I thought it was
Linda. And I really wish I could give all of you a bouquet of roses. You're all so special. So, okay. Let me know if the sound's okay. Is it good in the back? And so the person on the left's Linda, who you just heard talk. That's her following her student leading the way to his house through a rice field on one of our trips. Anyway, Friendship with Cambodia, we've given over $3 million in aid. I can't believe it, but with all your help, we did that. And the best news is that we're not, our partner organizations, even though we're closing the nonprofit, we're not going to be cutting their funding. So we figured out ways that they can continue to get the aid they've been getting, our partner organizations in Cambodia and those programs. So I just want to thank the donors that moved to OEDDO, and the donors that moved to HOLT, and the major donors that are going to continue supporting. And also HOLT International has assumed the financial responsibility for the sponsorship program, so they will keep that going. So anyway, it's really wonderful that we can keep all the programs going. And our biggest program has been the student sponsorship, and when we added it up, it was over 2,000 years of schooling. It came out to 280 students, and 202 are in university or graduated from university. Always wonderful special children. This is one of the first groups. The boy on the far left is a landmine survivor, actually. And he majored in social work, and now he works for a Department of Social Services helping people with disabilities. So it's so many beautiful outcomes. When we started, 11% of the children in Cambodia were finishing high school nationwide, very low. And now there's about 30% finishing, which, compared to most countries, still very low, but improving. And the rural areas still have a great need for support. And we've been sponsoring about 40 students a year in university, and our students we've kind of averaged about 8 years per student in terms of sponsorship because we started a lot in high school. Education for girls is the best way to end poverty, and so that's why we focused on that. And we've ended up sponsoring doctors, nurses, pharmacists, engineers, IT, social workers, admin, and a whole lot of accountants. If you're a sponsor, you probably had an accountant in your group. And that's because there's always good jobs for accountants, and that was a good field if you like. If you're good at math and you enjoy it, that was a good field. And I just want to tell you a story of just this one girl, and she's got, I think, 3 sponsors in the room right now. Connie, Garth, and Jackie all helped her go through college. And she, that picture on the left is her and her social worker, because her dad died and her mom went to Thailand to work, which is really not an uncommon story there. And so an NGO found her, gave her a room and board, and we supported her through university. she became a caseworker, and now she's helping disadvantaged children. And she says, I always encourage children to stay in school. So anyway, Strain, that is her name. You know the names are opposite. Their last name is first. So. And our university program, it's not just a university tuition. We want it to go beyond that to helping develop children into being people who want to help others. And so one way we do that is we have them do community service projects, and they really love it. And they get to pick their topic, and here you can see 3 of them: garbage management, impact of drug use, real versus fake news. We should go to that, right? Anyway, importance of reading, pros and cons of smartphones. They always come up with interesting topics, and they go to their villages, their home villages, and they give these programs to the students, and it's really a fun thing for them to do. They work on teams, and they really realize how easy it is to, make a difference and be helpful. And we hope they keep doing that. So switching over to another one of our programs, we've empowered over 18,000 women through our women's self-help groups, saving groups, the leadership training. And women's economic empowerment is also equal with girls' education in terms of a best way to end poverty. And we were working with the poorest of the poor, so it was a little different scenario than just giving loans or making credit available. We have to work with overcoming the psychology of poverty. And that was accomplished through the women's self-help groups. They kind of teach each other, encourage each other. They learn how to manage money, to set a goal, to borrow, start their income project, save money, pay back, set another goal, and keep repeating that process. The goal might be, okay, I want to buy a bicycle so my daughter can go to school. Something like that, and the income project might be something like, I'll start raising pigs, and she gets a piglet. So anyway, that's empowered thousands of women, and also the leadership training has been so important, helping, especially in terms of stopping the land grabbing and a lot of the illegal activities that are destroying the livelihoods of rural people, particularly land grabbing. So another project we have is our work with women and children, and we've been funding, we funded many different programs, but we've been funding recently a shelter for the survivors of gender violence, and helping them with counseling, legal help, literacy, vocational training, reintegration, all those. Most of the women going through our program now have been trafficked to China as wives. And anyway, they came back and got into our program. You can see their vocational training is making cookies, learning how to be catering. And anyway, so we're also working with judges, trying to get better enforcement, the police, stronger laws, education to prevent violence against women nationwide. So we've had great partners working on that. So many other programs we funded. I just wanted to touch on these 3. One was the shelter for street children. That one was our social workers would go out in the streets at night trying to find the new kids sleeping on the street, because you need to catch them before they start begging and before they start sniffing glue. And anyway, if you can catch them at that stage, a lot of them would come to the shelter, and then they could try to reintegrate them with their family if possible, or help them get vocational training. Anyway, we had a wonderful program for that. And next one is food during COVID. We've done a number of disaster relief programs. And one was food during COVID. The landmine survivors program was really big because Dan Weiner, one of our volunteers, when he passed away, he left us his estate. And we were able to give $25,000 a year for 5 years to help landmine survivors. And and the organizations we work with, I always want to make sure that our money goes as far as possible and as empowering as possible. So the way you do that is you don't go in and say, oh, we're going to build you a house, or tell people what you're going to do for them. You ask them, what do you want? What do you need? What's your priority? And so people would tell us, what they want. They needed a prosthesis, their house repaired, food, vocational training, or whatever. So that's how we helped all the people with landmine survivors. So OEDDO, that's the NGO partner with the impossible name that we all stumble over, Orphans, Elderly Disabled Development Organization, is one of our newer partners. I've been working with them, maybe 10 years. And anyway, it's a very loving family. It's unbelievable how kind and loving they are, and that's them in the picture there on the left. And so Vana, the mother, her wearing with the dark glasses, started bringing AIDS orphans into her home. That's how she got it started. And then she had 4 children, very bright, capable family. 3 of her children are MDs. One's an MBA, and that's the man in the white shirt. And so he's helping her run OEDDO. And anyway, they're responding to the greatest needs in a rural community, starting with to the people that are most destitute. So that's orphans in their list, elders with no family. A lot of them, their families died in the genocide, no family left to care for them, or disabled people who always get left behind. So now they're expanding. They help people in crisis. It's all volunteer run, and they have 1 staff in Cambodia, in U.S., and that's Betsy on the right. Betsy Gwynn, she lives here in Eugene, and she is basically their fundraiser and communications person. And anyway, so we've been doing a lot of programs with them. I'll just show you a few. One is food for widows and children, and I put this picture in so you can see how really poor people are. These children are all stunted. The girl on the right is 15 years old in the blue shirt. The boy on the left has ginger-colored hair. That's a sign of malnutrition. So a lot of very poor people. And then you can see the houses for the destitute there. The houses, they had to prop up that lady's house because it was falling over. And so they built them something new that's super simple, but keeps them dry. And then there's one of the boys with disabled boys who they created jobs. So, creating a feeling of dignity and, self-worth is so important for disabled people. And so many disabled people, because of lack of medical care there, children born without any, medical attention when they're being born, and a distressed delivery ends up with a lot of disabled people, actually. So here's another project they have, OEDDO still, Help for People in Crisis. They built houses. For example, when the war started in Thailand, between Cambodia and Thailand, 1 million workers from Thailand, Cambodians, came home, to no jobs. And so OEDDO, they would take in some people and help them get their job, figure out their lives. And the one in the middle, that's a judge asked OEDDO if they would take youth that were juvenile delinquents so that they could stay out of the adult prisons, which basically are training programs for being a criminal. And so OEDDO started this juvenile delinquent program. And the next year, the judge changed, and the new judge wouldn't refer people to them. And so Kian, that co-director in the white shirt I showed you, he organized a one-day educational event for the ministry officials, judges, police, and explained to them what the 2016 juvenile delinquent law is. and it says, you know, you don't put children in adult prison. So anyway, so they love the idea of having rehab programs for youth, and so hopefully that'll expand in Cambodia. Anyway, very cutting edge work that they're doing there, and there's the hospital they've built, and there's several people in this room who've helped with that construction of that hospital and that ambulance. And anyway, it's working as a clinic now. They're still getting equipped as a hospital, but they realized that there were so many people who were lacking medical care, and they didn't even have the money to have, you know, even $1 to pay transportation to get to a hospital. So they named the hospital LITA, L-I-T-A, Love is the Answer. So that's how they think. And so there they are helping they got a need, they found a need that was unmet, which was people living on a landfill. And they're so clever, they realize, okay, if we get these people housing and move them off the landfill, there's going to be other poor people moving in and taking over their jobs, which is sorting through the garbage, trying to find some recycling to sell. So they said, so instead of doing that, they said, okay, we'll ask them what they want, and we'll try to help improve their lives. And so they wanted a well. And so there's Kian spraying water from the new well over the children that live in, you know, their families live off of the landfill. And anyway, that's going well, and they're helping those children, you know, get back in school and catch up. That's the next slide. After school tutoring and English classes and computer, we're doing that a lot there because rural kids often drop out of school for a year or two. You know, their families are too poor or whatever, and then they get too far behind. So the tutoring helps them catch up. And then another thing is OEDDO has been doing some university students, and we've been helping them with their housing. So anyway, that's a little overview of OEDDO. And I want to say on your tables is a handout that has their wish list. If you feel like you want to help them, it has on there things that they would like. And Betsy sends out a newsletter by email once in a while. Here's some of our educational events, and we gave a lot. There were 161 talks, house parties, films, benefit dinners. We worked hard, I think. And anyway, it was great because we built the organization that way. And Vern was always really good at helping with publicity, and he is also our archivist, so he collected all of our posters, or anyway, the back wall has 30 of our posters on it from various events. If you haven't had a chance to look at them, it's kind of fun to see what we did. There's only 30 out of 60 or whatever, but 160. Here's the fair trade crafts that Linda already talked about a lot, and Tricia, Aaron are in our picture there. Anyway, thanks to everybody who made it possible and making it possible to employ disabled people and poor people. That was the real goal there. So as we realized that we were actually going to close the organization, we decided to start a endowment fund, and actually what the impetus was Tom Michello and Carol Pucci, who are here. Just stand up for a second so we can see you. Helped us start that fund. And so it's a permanent endowment fund at the Oregon Community Foundation. It's currently got $202,000 in it, and it's going to generate this year $7,200 that we can put towards supporting university students through Holt. And that'll help us pay the tuition for 8 students. And I'll keep managing the fund during my lifetime, and then after I can't, Peter Swift, who's younger than me, he's going to manage it. He helped me start the university, our sponsorship program. He started an NGO in Cambodia, and anyway, he's been with us from the beginning. And then after him, then the OCF staff will be following the criteria. So we're encouraging people to put it in their will, or you know, if you have an account, make it a beneficiary of your account, or you could, you know, donate to it now. Anytime you can make a donation. And I have a page, the page on the tables is about how you can donate and create a legacy. So these are the three options if you want to continue helping Cambodia. The first one, our Education for Low-Income Rural Youth Fund. And the money's going towards Holt International, actually. So the first one, it's an endowment fund. It's kind of what flavor you like better. And that, I'll just write one report about all the students in the fund. And then the next possibility is Holt. Bye, Rosemary. Thanks for coming. Holt is the sponsorship program that we've been running all these years, and you can have your own student and they will give you reports and continue, you know, as before, and then OADDO, and so you can either sponsor a person through them, $25 a month, or, you know, pick special projects. So those are kind of the three options for support that we're offering. And, you know, before we get into this stuff, I want to back up and just say that the need in Cambodia is still there, especially in the rural areas. Climate change has made it very difficult to farm. So 20% of the working people able to work are leaving the country seeking work because they can't make a living farming. And that creates these villages of elders and children, you know, malnourished. I mean, a lot of problems happening because of that. And yeah, so there's still a lot of need for aid. So even though things are improving somewhat, it's still a big problem. I think this is the first half of my show. The second half, I've got a little bit more about the people involved, and I just want to show you it's just a 5-minute video that actually our partner in Cambodia created this beautiful film about our students. And I don't know, we may have seen it, but it's still very sweet.
Education is a very powerful tool for youth to escape poverty and have a better life. However, many youth from extremely poor families in Cambodia cannot afford an education. Without an education, youth remain trapped in a life of poverty and hardship. Therefore, Friendship with Cambodia Student Sponsorship Program, in partnership with Holt International, offers the University Support Program to increase opportunities for youth from extremely poor households in Cambodia to access higher education so that they may achieve self-reliance and long-term stability for themselves and their families.
ជំរាបសួរនាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះសពិស័យជានិស្សិតសង្គមគិតវិទ្យាឆ្នាំទី3នៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យភូមិន្ទភ្នំពេញខ្ញុំបាទឈ្មោះនាងសុខធីមកពីខេត្តកំពង់ឆ្នាំងរៀននៅវិទ្យាស្ថានជាតិបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលបច្ចេកទេសជំនាញវិស្វកម្មអគ្គិសនីសប្តាហ៍ថ្ងៃខ្ញុំបានក្លាយជាបុគ្គលិកនៅក្រុមហ៊ុនកុម្មុយនីខ្មែរផ្នែកជាងបច្ចេកទេស នាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះណាមស្រីមានជានិស្សិតឆ្នាំទី4នៃសាកលវិទ្យាល័យជាតិគ្រប់គ្រងនៅក្នុងជំនាញគណនេយ្យនាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះសៀងសមែនជាសិស្សមកពីខេត្តព្រៃវែងនាងខ្ញុំបានប្រឡងបាក់ឌុបជាប់នៅឆ្នាំ 2015 ហើយចាប់ផ្ដើមចូលរៀននៅសាលាពេទ្យឆ្នាំ 2015 ដែលរៀននៅសាលាបច្ចេកទេសថែទាំវិទ្យាសាស្ត្រហើយបានមកចប់នៅឆ្នាំ 2018 ដោយស្មោះត្រង់ទៅនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំទទួលបានអាហារូបករណ៍អំពីអង្គការអន្តរជាតិហូលនេះគឺខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍ថាសប្បាយចិត្តក៏ដូចជាមានក្តីសង្ឃឹមឡើងវិញដោយសារតែខ្ញុំជាយុវតីម្នាក់នៅក្នុងគ្រួសារដែលខ្វះខាតហើយយើងទទួលរងនឹងការបង្ខំឲ្យបោះបង់ការសិក្សាតាំងពីថ្នាក់វិទ្យាល័យដូច្នេះនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំទទួលដំណឹងថាខ្ញុំទទួលបានអាហារូបករណ៍ពីអង្គការអន្តរជាតិហូលហ្នឹងគឺក្តីសង្ឃឹមមួយគឺលេចឡើងមកតែម្ដងគឺខ្ញុំដឹងថាខ្ញុំគឺជាយុវតីម្នាក់ដែលមិនត្រឹមតែអាចនាំក្តីសង្ឃឹមជូនគ្រួសារខ្ញុំបានទេប៉ុន្តែគឺខ្ញុំអាចជួយទៅដល់សង្គមជាតិខ្ញុំនិងអាចលុបបំបាត់នៅរង្វង់នៃភាពក្រីក្រជូនចំពោះគ្រួសារខ្ញុំផងដែរពេលដំបូងឡើយនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំរៀនចប់ទី12ភ្លាមពេលហ្នឹងខ្ញុំអត់ដែលមានសង្ឃឹមថាខ្ញុំបានទៅរៀនតនៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យនៅភ្នំពេញទេព្រោះដោយសារតែជីវភាពគ្រួសារខ្សត់ខ្សោយហើយ
ខ្មែរគាត់កាលនោះគាត់ឈឺផងហើយគាត់រៀងខ្វះខាតចឹងគាត់ជឿថាកូនអើយឈប់រៀនទៅដើម្បីទៅធ្វើការរកលុយរកអីមកជួយគ្រួសារចឹងហើយពេលហ្នឹងខ្ញុំអស់សង្ឃឹមខ្លាំងដែលខ្ញុំរៀនចប់ទី12ហើយខ្ញុំអត់បានទៅរៀនតនៅភ្នំពេញព្រោះដោយសារកាលខ្ញុំនៅក្មេងហ្នឹងខ្ញុំមានក្តីស្រមៃរបស់ខ្លួនឯងគឺខ្ញុំចង់ធ្វើជាគ្រូពេទ្យម្នាក់បើសិនជាមិនទទួលបានការឧបត្ថម្ភគាំទ្រពីសំណាក់អង្គការ HOL អនាគតខ្ញុំបាទផ្ទាល់មិនរំពឹងថានឹងមានឱកាសបានចូលរៀននៅថ្នាក់សាកលវិទ្យាល័យដោយសារកត្តាលទ្ធភាពគ្រួសារគឺនៅមានកម្រិតដែលมันមានលទ្ធភាពខ្ពស់នៅក្នុងការរកប្រាក់ទៅបង់ថ្លៃសិក្សារហូតដល់បញ្ចប់ការសិក្សានៅថ្នាក់សាកលវិទ្យាល័យបើសិនជាគ្មានជំនួយនៃអង្គការ HOL ទេខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងថាពេលនេះខ្ញុំអាចមានឱកាសមករៀននៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យបន្តឬមួយក៏អត់ទេហើយ HOL ក៏បានជួយសម្រួលដល់ខ្ញុំយ៉ាងច្រើនមានជាថ្លៃសាលាបងនៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យដែលខ្ញុំរៀនជាជំនាញគណនេយ្យហើយគាត់បានជួយនៅក្នុងការរៀនភាសាអង់គ្លេសហើយនឹងមានជាការរៀនកុំព្យូទ័រហើយនឹងប្រាក់ allowance ប្រចាំខែផងដែរជាក់ស្ដែងគឺនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំទទួលបានអាហារូបករណ៍ពីអង្គការ HOL ហ្នឹងគឺមើលឃើញថាខ្លួនឯងមានការផ្លាស់ប្ដូរច្រើនទាំងផ្នែកអាកប្បកិរិយាទាំងផ្នែកផ្លូវចិត្តនិងការរស់នៅរបស់គ្រួសារខ្ញុំនិងខ្ញុំខ្លួនឯងផ្ទាល់ខ្ញុំបានទទួលបទពិសោធន៍នៅការរស់នៅទីកន្លែងថ្មីជួបមិត្តភ័ក្តិថ្មីក៏ដូចជាបានចូលរួមការងារសង្គមយ៉ាងច្រើនហើយមួយវិញទៀតខ្ញុំក៏បានចុះទៅជួបស្ថានភាពក៏ដូចជាបញ្ហាផ្ទាល់នៅក្នុងសង្គមយើងហើយខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំរៀនបានចប់ទៅមានការងារមានអីធ្វើអញ្ចឹងយើងអាចជួយគ្រួសារយើងបាននៅពេលដែលគ្រួសារយើងមានបញ្ហាហើយគាត់មានបញ្ហាអីមួយយើងអាចមានលុយមានកាក់អីតិចតួចជួយគាត់បានអញ្ចឹងហើយមួយទៀតយើងអាចពេលដែលប្អូនខ្ញុំរៀនទៅគាត់ត្រូវការលុយត្រូវការអីយើងអាចមានលុយជួយគាត់បានខ្ញុំគិតថាកូនខ្ញុំដឹងទៅដល់ណាទេគ្រូអើយចាបើគ្មានអង្គការនឹងជួយគ្រួសារខ្ញុំពិបាកណាស់បាទអត់មានថវិកាឲ្យកូនរៀនគ្មានសពបែបយ៉ាងហ្មងខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តបានអង្គការ HOL ជួយកូនខ្ញុំដល់សប្តាហ៍នេះខ្ញុំរំភើបណាស់ណាគ្រូបាយចិត្តខ្លាំងរាល់ថ្ងៃខ្ញុំមើលឃើញកូនប្រែប្រួលថាមានការងារធ្វើល្អជួយគ្រួសារខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍ថាកូនខ្ញុំមានសមត្ថភាពអាចជួយកុមារនៅពេទ្យគុភៈបុប្ផាធ្វើអ្នកគ្រូពេទ្យដ៏ល្អ
Thank you to HOL sponsor for your supporting to me. I'm so excited that I'm getting your support.
Thank you HOL for support me and give me a chance to study university. Now I have a good job. Now I have a better life than before. Thankful to HOL sponsor who was supported me to enroll the university.
Previously being supported by HOL, I feel really warm and appreciated. And in conclusion, I would like to wish you all the best in your life, such as a healthy, live a long life, and success with your work. Thank you.
Thanks for your generous support to assist youth from extremely poor families in realizing their dreams and reaching their fullest potential.
We can't live without our tech support, right? So now I want to talk more about people involved. I just mentioned our current board of directors, Marie, Donna, and Linda. So wonderful, and past directors. I've asked you to stand up before, but anyway, thank you very much. I mean, so many people have been part of this organization and making all of this happen, and I just feel so grateful to each of you for all the roles you've played. We have a stewardship council, and Victoria, you want to stand up and just, she's been part of our stewardship council, holds the vision of the organization and elects the board every year. And there in the bottom, you can see a picture of Karen. one of our student sponsors and help volunteers, Lowell, her partner, board president Linda Crafts, and Carol Gleason are helping with our trips, and there's me. And I just want to take a minute to say a tribute to Lowell Hill, who was our board president and passed away last year. He was Karen's partner, and Karen and Lowell went on one of my first trips that I led in Cambodia for Friendship with Cambodia in 2004, and along with Carol and Tom, and these 4 people became such critical, wonderful volunteers, donors, supporters, helpers, and Lowell in particular was just a tremendous help. He was our board president, strategic planner. He had the idea to start a reserve fund so that if our organization ever collapsed, we could make sure that all those students got to graduate from university. So he's helped us set that up. He helped the alumni group get started, and that's still going, where the graduates help the undergraduates. He's been a really generous donor, a good friend, very kind, enthusiastic, thoughtful, skilled leader, just a very exceptional person, and I feel so grateful to have had his support and help all these years. Of course, I miss him tons. And I want to mention the Friendship with Cambodia staff. We went through a lot of office assistants. I think Mel, please stand up. She's over by the crafts. She's our star office assistant. She's been with us for the last 8 years, which has been fabulous. And other people have been wonderful as well. Mary Weatherby was here earlier. And our bookkeepers, Elaine and Donna, who you know is on our board, and Eugene, who just stepped out, are doing our 990 tax forms, and then Necor Joe, stand up for us, please. Help create our database. Oh my gosh, really helpful. And Riley's here today. Thank you. And legal support, David Atkin with Nonprofit Support Services. And then our student sponsorship program, a lot of these positions actually were volunteers. Not all these people were paid. And Karen, Karen, we've made her stand up too many times already, but anyway, Karen's run ours, helped us run our student sponsorship program. She edited those reports. Let me tell you, you should be grateful she did, because you would be trying to figure out what on earth are they talking about here, because it was kind of cryptic in the beginning when the translations were pretty poor, and we'd have to contact Cambodia to say, okay, what are you saying here? And Katie, stand up, Katie. She's been, there she is, helping in the office with that. And then our Cambodia tour staff, Dawn, you want to stand up? She's been leading tours. And then our responsible travel guide, I think most of you know that we put that together kind of based on our own experiences there of wanting to extend our travel dollars into helping local people. And so we stayed in NGO hotels and ate in NGO restaurants and created a travel guide so other people could do that too. So Pajita, who's been in charge of our food, oh my gosh, let's give her an extra big hand. And Tom and Carol, you can stand up again, it's okay. Who helped us put that guide together with maps and writing. Anyway, it was a big project, and I think the biggest compliment we got was, they said, well, they wish there was a guide like this for every country, and I kind of wish that was true too. So then here's the craft and event volunteers. The first 10 years of our existence, we did a lot of events, and there's Pujita up in the top corner, who's done food for so many events. Here she is again, Linda with the crafts. Vern, you can stand up. Vern is our publicity. Vern, you can stand up, our publicity. If you saw a poster in Eugene, Vern might have put it up, probably. And then also here today is a long list of other people who've helped with crafts, and I know Pujita asked you to stand up before, but we surely appreciate everybody's help. And I want to mention the one Cambodian staff person who's been with us 22 years, and this was the woman who, when I went to Cambodia to lead a tour, a second trip I made, and I advertised for somebody to be my interpreter for the interviews, and Kasal was who responded, and she was studying English in university at the time, and she wanted to practice her English, and so she came, and we have been working together, so I met her in '94, and we've been working together ever since, and she's just unbelievably wonderful, and she was director of the Street Children's Shelter program for a while, that NGO. She was director of the Women's Empowerment for a while, and now she's director of Holt Cambodia, and she's a genocide survivor herself, and just incredibly bright, capable, responsible. I feel so lucky that we've had her help all these years. She's still with us. So at this point, I just want to say thank you so much to all of our student sponsors and our donors, and I think all of you can stand up now, please. We want to acknowledge all of you. Oh, come on. Thank you. There's one of our women's shelter girls who learned how to make bouquets for her vocational training. Isn't that sweet? So, yeah, thanks to everybody. All of you are so important to me, and my contact information is on the handouts on the table. The information about the 3 organizations you can support is on the table, one of those handouts. Anyway, I just hope you'll stay in touch with me, and that we can all stay in touch and continue to enjoy each other and our friendship that's all come out of this organization. And I want to finish with just a plug for 2 of our kindness organizations here in Eugene. One is Pujita's lost in the DTS. Pujita. Anyway, Pujita is with Community Supported Shelters, where she was until last week. And it's such a fantastic organization for helping the homeless in Eugene. If you're not involved with them, I highly recommend getting involved as a supporter or volunteer. They're doing such fantastic work, and you can ask her more about it. And then Linda, please stand up, Linda. Linda Carnine. She and her husband, Doug, have been part of the kindness. Remember we did that kindness. You still see the Choose Kindness signs around, right? Well, so that was our project, and Friendship with Cambodia actually helped them way back. And they started out, with our local Choose Kindness. Actually, they started out with kindness in the prisons because Doug wrote a book, How Love Wins, and it's about kindness. And anyway, they've gone on to do so many wonderful things with their project, including a lot of curriculum and kindness in schools and across the country, getting schools to adopt that. So anyway, you can ask her more about that and their organization, and they even got honored by the Dalai Lama for their work. So that's what the picture is. Anyway, so lots of special people here, all of you included, and I just want to say how grateful I am for all of you today. And please take some flowers home, cake, food. If you want to do some shopping, it's available too.